Welcome back. Today we are finishing Who Was the Strongest Villain in Ninjago History. Now, Lord Garmadon. Where do we even start? He's the four-armed warlord, the Dark Lord of Destruction, the brother, the husband, the father, and one of the most complex characters in Ninjago. Garmadon's journey from devoted son to evil tyrant to loving father and back to villain and beyond is basically the core of Ninjago's saga. In terms of strength and powers, Garmadon is formidable. Being the son of the first Spinjitzu master, he had greatness in his blood, but also darkness. As a kid, Garmadon was bitten by the corrupted Great Devourer snake, thanks to the Overlord's meddling, which infused him with evil. That set him on a dark path. He became a fearsome warrior, wielding all four golden weapons at once, hence those four arms. No skipping arm day for this guy. He was the master of destruction, literally able to wield the elemental power of destruction, the counter to creation, especially once he unlocked his true potential for good. We saw a hint of creation power when he was briefly sensei. Garmadon has led the Skulkan armies from the underworld, commanded the Serpentine, and even ruled Ninjago as emperor. At one point, he forged the mega weapon by combining the golden weapons, warping time and space. Physically, he's a skilled Spinjitzu master and had those extra arms for weapon prowess. Even after being purified of evil once, he returned stronger in a new sinister form. In the Sons of Garmadon storyline, a dark ritual resurrected Garmadon without any of his good side. This revived Garmadon was basically evil incarnate, an Oni in full, and he absolutely manhandled the ninja. He defeated all of them, destroyed the Destiny's bounty, and took over Ninjago City with ease. It took Lloyd refusing to fight, a true Jedi moment, to finally depower and imprison Garmadon. And even then, when the final battle against the Oni came, the ninja needed Garmadon's help. He achieved an Oni beast mode form in the fight against the Omega, showcasing just how indomitable he could be. Garmadon is also a survivor. He's been through more near-deaths, banishments, and resurrections than anyone. The emotional impact of Garmadon's villainy is second to none. This is Lloyd's father we're talking about. The entire series practically hinges on their relationship. When Garmadon was evil initially, it was a classic son versus corrupted father scenario that gave us epic and heartfelt moments. Who can forget the final battle where Lloyd, the Green Ninja, had to fight Garmadon possessed by the Overlord, freeing his dad from darkness. Then Garmadon turned good, giving us touching scenes of him trying to be a sensei and a dad, awkwardly but endearingly. His sacrifice in the Cursed Realm, saying goodbye to Lloyd forever, was a tearful goodbye, until Harumi yanked him back to the dark side. The second time Garmadon went villain, it was perhaps even more painful for Lloyd. This was not evil seed still in his heart, Garmadon. This was no heart at all. Seeing Lloyd get beaten brutally by his own father, while Lloyd begged for the dad he knew to surface, was rough. In the end, Lloyd's refusal to fight broke that cycle of violence, teaching both father and son a lesson about what true power is. And in March of the Oni, their reconciliation, working together to save Ninjago, gave longtime fans all the feels. Garmadon leaving for parts unknown after the Oni were defeated was a somber but hopeful send-off. For many of us, Garmadon was Ninjago's ultimate villain, but also its ultimate redemption story. But lest we forget, this is also a man who once used a mega weapon to try to rewrite history. Garmadon had humorous moments too. In Season 2, as a temporary ally, he had this deadpan snark, like scolding the ninja even while helping them. In Season 4, Sensei Garmadon trying to be peaceful was ironically funny, given his past. I have to resist my evil urges. Deep breaths. And of course, there's the fact that he literally ran a multinational company, Darnagam Enterprises, selling evil merchandise as a cover in his retired life. Talk about adjusting to modern society. The show often enjoyed making Garmadon a source of comedy when appropriate, like him struggling with normal dad stuff, cooking, being Misako's husband, after years of being the Dark Lord. In terms of pure strength, Garmadon ranks extremely high, but perhaps not the very top. He's mortal, albeit half Oni, and he has been bested by the likes of the Overlord and the Omega in direct combat. But his combination of combat skill, elemental power, and sheer will, plus multiple power-ups across the series, make him a contender. If you ask who's the most iconic Ninjago villain, many would shout Garmadon without hesitation. However, is he the strongest ever? We're about to tackle the two beings that even Garmadon would fear in a fair fight. If anything, Garmadon's legacy teaches that strength isn't just about power, it's also about heart. He was at his strongest when he overcame his darkness to save those he loved. But in a raw power showdown, let's just say there are a couple of nightmares left to cover. Now we arrive at the Omega, the looming horned figure that gave every Ninjago fan flashbacks to the Shogun of Doom from our nightmares. The Omega is the leader of the Oni, an ancient race of shadowy demons who literally eat light and creation for breakfast. In Ninjago lore, the Oni are as old as time. They're part of the very fabric of the world. The first Spinjitzu master's mother was an Oni after all. The Omega, in particular, represents the ultimate embodiment of destruction. His goal was simple and terrifying: erase all creation in every realm and blanket existence in eternal darkness. As far as villainous motivations go, that's about as apocalyptic as it gets. No conquering or ruling, just pure nihilistic annihilation. On the power scale, the Omega is off the charts. He wielded a staff that could turn people to stone with a touch of darkness, and he commanded an endless horde of Oni warriors that spread a literally consuming darkness across Ninjago. When the Oni invasion, the March of the Oni, began, even Master Wu and the ninja were shaken to the core. This was a faceless, elemental force of evil unlike any they'd seen. The Omega himself was huge, armored, and nearly invulnerable. Traditional weapons, spinjitzu, even the golden weapons didn't faze him. In one confrontation, Lloyd and Garmadon together fought the Omega and were utterly outmatched. He swatted aside Garmadon's attacks and clobbered them without breaking a sweat. Notably, Garmadon, in full Oni form, was still considered inferior by the Omega. The Omega sneered that Garmadon was Oni only in form, not in heart, sensing uncertainty in him, and proceeded to thrash him. It's rare to see Garmadon look scared, but against the Omega, even he struggled. The Oni leader's presence turned the entire land dark and silent, nearly snuffing out all hope. At one point, the Omega literally petrified the ninja's elemental powers. That's right, he was immune to the very elements. This forced our heroes to resort to the last thing in their arsenal, creation itself. In the final stand at the monastery, the ninja, Wu and Garmadon, combined their energies to perform the legendary tornado of creation. This golden tornado was pure life force, and it was the only thing the Oni couldn't withstand. The Omega, defiant to the end, roared into the tornado of creation as it engulfed him and his army. In a blinding flash, the Oni were no more, defeated not by any individual's strength, but by the unified power of creation and teamwork. Whether the Omega was destroyed or merely banished is left mysterious, but he hasn't been seen since. Emotionally, the Omega's arc was shorter. Season 10 was a swift 4-episode conclusion, so it didn't delve into personal drama like other villains. However, the impact was still big. It forced estranged allies to come together. Most poignantly, it brought Lloyd and Garmadon onto the same side. The fear of the Oni, if anything, the Omega's presence was a catalyst for closure. It was in the face of the Omega that Garmadon finally admitted a tiny hint of care for his son and the people, even if he phrased it as, "I will not have some Oni usurper take my realm." The Omega's defeat also marked the end of an era. It was the culmination of the Oni Dragon storyline and served as a grand finale for the original series arc. From a viewer's perspective, seeing all our heroes and even villains unite against a common ultimate evil was deeply satisfying. The Omega was less of a character and more of a force of nature. He didn't crack jokes or have a tragic backstory we know of. He was simply the dark to creation's light. Humor with the Omega? Not much, unless you count Garmadon's snide remarks. One darkly funny exchange. Lloyd and Garmadon face Omega, and Garmadon quips that he alone has dibs on destroying Ninjago, not this walking stick of an Oni. Gotta love villain pride. The absurdity of Garmadon and the ninja working together, with Garmadon complaining the whole time, gave us a few chuckles amidst the gloom. But overall, Omega wasn't there to make us laugh. He was there to be the nearly undefeatable final boss, and in that role, he succeeded. In terms of strength, the Omega is right up at the top. He could only be defeated by a Deus Ex Machina level move, Tornado of Creation, which is the show's way of saying, you can't punch or wish your way out of this one, kids. If our question was strictly, who's the most powerful being ever faced, the Omega would be a solid candidate for number one. But there's still one foe who might edge him out, if not in raw power, then in overall influence and tenacity. And that, of course, is the one and only. Here we are, the Overlord, the embodiment of evil, the big bad of big bads, the dark shadow that looms over Ninjago's history. If Ninjago were Star Wars, the Overlord is the Emperor, ancient, malevolent, and very hard to get rid of. In the lore, the Overlord is literally the source of all darkness and evil in Ninjago. He's described as the original evil spirit, a primordial entity that existed as the balance against the first Spinjitzu Master's light. This guy, if you can even call him a guy, first appeared as a gargantuan golden-eyed dragon in the final battle of the first Spinjitzu Master. The FSM only managed to trap the Overlord on the Dark Island, where he lay in wait for millennia, scheming. And scheme he did. The Overlord secretly influenced events over generations, notably possessing the Great Devourer that bit Garmadon, meaning he indirectly created Lord Garmadon as we knew him. All that conflict and imbalance, it was fuel to eventually free the Overlord. By Season 2's climax, he made his move, appearing as an eerie talking cloud, then a sphere of dark energy, to ally with Garmadon, only to betray and possess Garmadon's body once the balance of light-dark tipped. He literally turned into a hybrid of Garmadon's body and his original dragon form, a monstrous Overlord dragon spewing darkness. It took the ultimate power of the Green Ninja in full Golden Dragon mode to destroy that physical form. Cue triumphant music, but the Overlord wasn't done. In Season 3, he survived as a digital virus, the digital Overlord in Ninjago's technology. He built a new army of ninjas Nindroids, got a helping hand, or tail, from Pythor, and managed to steal Lloyd's golden power to become the dreaded Golden Master. Picture the Overlord as a hulking golden techno-samurai, supercharged with the powers of the first Spinjitzu master's lineage. That was arguably his peak form and raw power. It was so bad that Zane had to sacrifice himself in a massive explosion of energy to stop the Golden Master. Zane's self-sacrifice remains one of the show's most powerful scenes. Tears were shed, monuments were built, and still, the Overlord wasn't truly gone. Balance mandated that pure evil can't be destroyed apparently. So, years later, during Crystallized, Season 15, guess who creeps back from the shadows? The Overlord recruits Harumi from beyond the grave, promises her parents' death will be avenged, and sets up a grand comeback. Taking on the guise of the Crystal King, the Overlord returns with a vengeance, with an army of Venstone-powered villains, including some greatest hits like Pythor, Harumi, Asphira, etc., all serving him. In the final battle, he achieves a titanic form again, nearly bringing the Bringer of Doom, the Oni, level of destruction. It took everything to stop him, Lloyd unlocking his dragon form and the ninja uniting with the power of the 4 golden weapons, forming the Golden Ultra Dragon. In an epic showdown, they finally annihilated the Overlord's physical form once more. Even then, the Overlord's essence lurks, dormant, as an immortal evil that could rise if balance falters. Talk about stubborn. So in terms of raw power and influence, the Overlord has done it all. World domination, check. Nearly destroying Ninjago multiple times, check. Killing a ninja, well, Zane got better, but check. And even outsmarting other villains. He is cunning. He played Garmadon like a fiddle in Season 2, revealing that every bad thing was according to his design. Fans still get chills at his line. Did you really think you could defeat me? It was I who possessed the serpent that bit your hand. All that has happened was by my design. Basically, Overlord equals chess master of the whole series. The emotional impact with the Overlord comes from the scale of threat and the sacrifices he forced. Zane's death fighting him as the Golden Master was a huge gut punch to the team and audience. Lloyd facing him in the final battle fulfilled destiny and was glorious. And the Overlord's return in Crystallized brought Harumi back, messing with Lloyd's feelings all over again. He's not a relatable villain, he's more akin to pure Satan in the Ninjago universe, but because he's behind so much, defeating him always feels extra triumphant. Also, credit to the voice acting. The Overlord's deep, raspy, almost mocking voice still haunts dreams. Surprisingly, there is a bit of humor to be mined from the Overlord's many forms. In Reboot, we got scenes of him as this grumpy computer virus yelling at Pythor, "I require more power, Pythor. Yes, yes, almighty Overlord, right away." And as the Crystal King, he does a fair bit of villain monologuing. Classic join me or be destroyed shtick to the ninja. The fact that he keeps coming back could even be a running joke. Overlord again? Doesn't this guy ever give up? Even Hound Dog McBragg, that comical lawman in Crystallized, cracked wise about some scary Crystal King in a bathrobe before realizing, oh, it's actually the Overlord. But make no mistake, we laughed nervously because the Overlord is terrifying. He's that villain we love to hate. When assessing who is the strongest villain, the Overlord is incredibly hard to top. He's literally unkillable in the lore, an amalgamation of darkness that can take new forms as needed. Each time the ninja defeated him, it required a new height of their powers. Lloyd becoming the ultimate Spinjitzu master in Season 2, Zane achieving Titanium Foreverness in Season 3, and the entire team plus dragon forms in Crystallized. No other villain pushed the heroes to 3 different peak victories. The Overlord also has the highest villain IQ. He's ancient and calculating, not prone to the silly mistakes others made. He doesn't get tricked into saying, I wish I wasn't evil or anything. And unlike the Omega, who appeared mostly in one arc, the Overlord was a recurring evil that stained all of Ninjago's history. He's the final boss behind the scenes, which gives him a strong claim to the title of strongest. We've recapped and reminisced about Ninjago's most notorious villains. So who claims the title of strongest villain in Ninjago history? It's a tough call because strength comes in different forms. Is it raw magical power, cunning and influence, emotional toll on our heroes? Ideally, the strongest villain checks all those boxes. Let's quickly line them up. Master Chen and Harumi were brilliant schemers who shook the team's trust, but in terms of raw power, they were outclassed by the big leaguers. Pythor unleashed chaos, but mostly by awakening something stronger than himself. Moro and Nadakon each nearly ended the world. Moro via ghostly invasion, Nadakon via wishcraft, and they required extreme solutions. Moro was undone by teamwork and sacrifice, Nadakon by a cosmic undo button. Lord Garmadon had an immense presence and power, especially at his peak. He was literally an Oni warlord, yet even he was a pawn of greater forces at times, the Overlord, and later, the Omega. The Omega stands as the embodiment of destruction, basically an evil demigod that only creation itself could defeat. By all accounts, the Omega is one of the top contenders. Few others made the ninja that desperate. However, the Omega appeared only once and was vanquished in one, albeit epic, encounter. Meanwhile, one name kept coming back like a bad dark penny, the Overlord. Taking everything into account, lore, feats, and the sheer number of times our heroes almost lost, the Overlord emerges as the strongest villain in Ninjago history. He is the one truly timeless evil, orchestrating events across generations. He fought the first Spinjitzu master to a standstill, corrupted Garmadon, unleashed the Stone Army, became a godlike golden master, and even in defeat found ways to return. The Overlord has an answer for everything. You beat him with the Green Ninja's power. He comes back in cyberspace. You beat his digital form. He comes back with crystals and an army of past villains. It took multiple miracles to bring him down each time. While the Omega is a very close second in raw might, the Overlord's combination of power, intellect, and persistence puts him a notch above. He's the mastermind behind much of the series' conflict and required the ultimate forms of both Lloyd and the entire ninja team to finally silence him. As an embodiment of evil, he edges out the embodiment of destruction, Omega, by virtue of affecting our heroes' lives more personally and repeatedly. Even Harumi, our brilliant quiet one, ultimately bent the knee to the Overlord's will in the end. He's that influential. So, drumroll, the strongest villain in Ninjago history is the Overlord. Are we really surprised? He's literally called the Dark Lord for a reason. If one villain could claim I am inevitable, it's him. From a nostalgic perspective, this feels right. The Green Ninja's eternal nemesis, the dark to Lloyd's light. And from a power perspective, the guy practically invented evil in Ninjago. It's only fitting that he sits atop this villainous ranking. In the end, what makes Ninjago so memorable to us, the now-grown fans, isn't just the ninja heroes, but also the remarkable villains they faced. Each brought out something different in our heroes. Pythor's cunning united the team against a common trickster. Chen's antics tested their resolve and bonds. Harumi's betrayal forced them to mature. Moro's wrath taught them empathy and forgiveness. Natakon's tricks showed the power of love and sacrifice. Garmadon's falls and redemptions embodied the struggle between darkness and light. The Omega's assault proved the value of unity. And the Overlord's undying evil highlighted that even in the worst times, hope and golden power prevails. We laughed at some villains, cried over others, and cheered when each one fell. For those of us who grew up with Ninjago, these battles were more than just cartoon action. They were lessons in friendship, destiny, and always finding the strength to stand back up. It's a testament to the show that we can argue endlessly about who's the strongest or the best villain, because they were all so distinct and impactful. And who knows, the world of Ninjago is ever evolving. Maybe one day a new threat will rise to challenge even the Overlord's title. There's always some Crystal King or Jin General waiting in the wings, isn't there? Until then, we'll keep rewatching those classic episodes, humming The Weekend Whip, and feeling that wave of nostalgia every time a Garmadon versus Lloyd duel or a ninja triumph comes on screen. Thank you for joining this trip down memory lane, or should I say Destiny's Bounty Lane. If you enjoyed reliving these moments and debates, be sure to like and subscribe for more Ninjago lore dives and fun discussions. And tell us in the comments, do you agree that the Overlord reigns supreme, or do you think another villain deserved the crown? Let's keep the conversation friendly. No need to release a great devourer in the comments section. Until next time, Ninja, stay strong, stay loyal, and remember, a villain's strength is measured not just by his power, but by the heroes he forges. In Ninjago's case, the villains were mighty, but our heroes were mightier in the end, and that's why we love this series. Spinjitzu forever.